So the Greeks lied to get into the monetary union. Everybody, I think, understands that now. With the work of Goldman Sachs and some rather shifty bankers, the Greeks were allowed to join monetary union because they understated the amount of real debt that was in their economy. It doesn't matter. They became a member now, so they are a part of a group of countries that use the single currency, the euro. So when the first Greek crisis happened, everybody went, oh, this is really bad, this is terrible. But you know, it's just a few billion, it'll be fine. We can sort this out. So the Greeks got help. We had the second Greek crisis, because ultimately the Greeks didn't honour the first, and then it went back to Brussels, there were emergency meetings, and they got another deal. And all the way through, the European Central Bank, the governments of Germany and France and Italy, I guess the core members of the single currency bloc, were a little bit reluctant to help out, but ultimately they said, okay, for the sake of keeping the single currency together, we have to do this, right? We all hang together, or we break it down, and if one country leaves, then you start to get fractures, just like you do when an earthquake begins to happen. It starts with the tremors, but then slowly it turns into a much bigger event. And that was always the fear, and that's why all those governments, through the mechanisms in Brussels, said, we'll allow the Greeks to stay. They've just been very naughty, but this time let's hope that they honour the debts and the commitments that we made. So what happens? Of course, the Greeks don't. So Alexis Tsipras, by some miracle, negotiates a third bailout deal. I was in Brussels at the time. I can tell you it wasn't very much fun at all. We spent a lot of time standing outside buildings in Brussels, microphone in hand, trying to catch ministers coming in and out so that we could get them to say something. And a lot of the time they just walked by, and a few times they stopped and they said, yeah, it's really tough, but we think we're going somewhere. And then eventually, you know, they got a deal. And they got a deal because at the last minute, Brussels blinked. And basically Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, blinked. And she said, I will not be the German Chancellor who takes responsibility for ejecting Greece from the Euro system and breaking up the single currency bloc. Because the Germans are very invested in the single currency. They're very invested in the EU